Hey everybody, my name is Justice with AnswerWithConfidence.com, where we teach you how to answer life's toughest questions. Now this is part 2 of Prove to Me God Exists. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the facts, but before you watch this one, be sure to go and watch part 1 first, where we talk about the truth about this question. And just to give you a quick recap of the first episode, just because the question is flawed doesn't mean that the ability to give facts about God's existence is wrong or useless. Sure, I can't provide an argument which will convince all thinking people, but that does not mean I don't have a good reason to believe in God. And this part 4 right here is what we're going to be talking about today, proving God's existence. There are 2 things that you need to bring up in proving God's existence. 1, factual proof that you believe proves God's existence. And number 2, your testimony. Now, bringing up your testimony might sound a little bit weird, or in your mind, oh, that's pointless, but it's absolutely pointless to learn 12 different factual proofs about God's existence, because then you're just having a debate with this person. If you give them one proof and he doesn't believe it, a second proof ain't gonna do much, all right? The point is not to make his mind explode with facts about God. The point is to show him why you choose to believe in God and ultimately point him towards the gospel. So number 1, fact. Number 2, your testimony. So they ask, why do you believe God exists? Well, number 1, the evidence of the universe right now is much easier to explain and accept with God as the creator. I believe in God because of what I see around me. Now, many people might view that as a cop-out, but let me explain why that is and why it's actually much easier and logically reasonable to believe that God created the universe than to believe that he didn't. It actually requires more faith to believe that the universe created itself or that it just magically exploded. So let me begin with some facts and truths that nobody disputes. Not even scientists dispute these 4 truths. Number 1, things come into existence. Nobody disputes that. Number 2, everything which comes into existence is brought into existence by something else outside of it. All right, nothing can make itself come into existence, because in order to do that, it would first need to exist and bring itself into existence. Number 3, there cannot be an infinite number of past causes. Now, this basically means that you can't have something create something that was created by something that was created by something all the way into infinity. Because just the fact that there is one of these things proves that there was a beginning to one of these things. One of my favorite examples is a chicken, right? A chicken that lays an egg creates another chicken. But you can't have chickens laying eggs for infinity backwards, because just the fact that there is a chicken on the earth proves that at some point there had to have been a chicken or an egg that was not caused to exist by another chicken. If something is present, it can't have infinity in both directions, because at this present moment it was created by something. Which leads me right into number 4, and that is there always has to be a first cause, or what many people say is an uncaused cause. A cause that was uncreated by something else. A cause that has always been there from the beginning to create the first cause. And this is true in absolutely everything. Nobody in the history of the world has ever witnessed one of these truths being broken. And we haven't even mentioned God one time. This is about absolutely anything. A chicken, a plant, a human, grass, water, whatever. But if someone asks me to give them factual evidence that will prove God's existence, I usually take the number 1 thing that I think is the most important evidence when it comes to God, and that is the universe. The stars, the moon, the sky, everything. Now let's take these 4 truths and apply it to the universe. The universe came into existence. The universe did not create itself. In order to do that, it would have already had to exist. The universe cannot have existed forever, because the universe is a physical thing affected by space and time. I mean, scientists today don't even argue the fact that the universe hasn't just existed forever. They even admit that the universe had a beginning at some point. So if that's the case, truth number 4, the universe would have had to have been created by something outside of itself. And scientists don't even argue that. Scientists fully believe that the Earth had a beginning and it was caused by something else. But since they refuse to acknowledge a designer, they say, let's just make it explode. In the beginning, there was nothing, and then it exploded. So if you apply these 4 truths to the universe, it had a beginning and it had to have been created by something outside of itself. But the fact that the earth and everything on it is literal perfection screams designer and creator. So when someone asks me to prove God exists, I don't just say, because I have faith he does, even though I do. But when it comes to the universe and how it came to be, for me, it takes even more faith to believe that there was nothing and it created everything. The sun, moon, stars, earth, and all its perfection. The universe must have been created by something outside of itself, and that answer is God. Now, most likely they won't even care about your answer, and they might even want to debate you on it. So the thing you don't want to do is come up with other facts about God, and it's just going to go on and on. You're going to do nothing but debate this person. So the second thing you need to do is tell them something that they cannot argue with, and that is your testimony. Prove to me God exists. Well, number 1, the universe most definitely had a creator, and here's why. Number 2, what he has done in my life. I know what I was like before, and I was a lost sinner destined for destruction, but now I am 100% different and changed, and only God can do that. I mean, when Paul was asked difficult questions, he always just went back to his testimony. Why? Because they can never argue with that. And I'm sure that if someone came up to Paul and said, hey, prove to me God exists, Paul could talk about Old Testament prophecy and all that kind of stuff. But do you want to know what's even more powerful? The fact that he hated God and murdered Christians and is now in a jail cell for preaching the gospel. All right, that proves the existence of God more than anything else. Because you have to remember, you're not trying to debate these people. Ultimately, you're trying to lead this right back to the gospel. And the way to do that is to give them a logical answer to their question and then explain exactly how the Lord completely changed your life with it. So in summary, both part 1 and part 2. Number 1, you do have evidence for God's existence, and you are more than happy to give that to him. 2, it's impossible to prove God exists in the way that they're asking. And 3, faith is required to believe absolutely anything. And if they make a big deal about that, remember to ask them if they believe George Washington was real and go that route. And number 4, give them the evidence. The existence of the universe right now is much easier to explain with God as the creator, and explain why that is. And if they want to debate you or they don't like your answer, it really doesn't matter, because number 5, you bring it right back to your testimony. This is something they cannot argue with, and it's a perfect segue to lead right into the gospel, which is your ultimate goal. So I hope that these videos have really helped you guys out and you feel much more confident in answering the question, prove to me God exists. Now, if you have any questions at all or questions that you want us to answer, please email me at justice@answerwithconfidence.com, and we'll make more videos just like this, answering life's toughest questions. So thank you so much, and God bless.